dunking with reverse windmills. I drove the whole way to practice in reverse. I don't recommend it. This move's called the reverse shuffle. I do recommend it. And it took me months to learn how to speak in reverse, like this. Years 10 almost for diabetes type 2 with living Ben has mama. In other words, my mom has been living with type 2 diabetes for almost 10 years. So together, we want to say to the 84 million Americans at risk, exercise and healthy eating can help reverse prediabetes. Start by taking a simple 1-minute risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Brought to you by the Ad Council and its pre-diabetes awareness partners.
Bet he can't say that in reverse.
KXSW 89.9 FM 62 walk back to one.
Good morning.
Start?
I'll start out. Okay. Good morning. We're with the Mayuteca Day Treatment Center. My name is Skyman Redday. I'm the manager of the treatment center. Just a few updates that we're pretty happy to say. We're opened our doors on June 4th. We have clients currently and coming in, so we're up and running. Our renovations are complete. We're just cleaning up and doing some last minute things to get things ready for, I believe we are going to be having a open house soon, whenever Dion sets that up. So, but again, yeah, we're located at the old elderly center, the old bingo hall, old tarot office, however you want to call it. That's where we're located. If you have any questions and anything like that, you can give us a call at 698-2110. Again, we have the day treatment, intensive day treatment. That's Monday through Friday, 9 to 4, and we have the intensive outpatient treatment Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I believe. And what time is that one?
The intensive outpatient is 1:15 to 2:30, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
Okay. I'll pass it on over to you. You can speak the rest of the time.
Okay. My name's Dion Lake. I am an outpatient treatment counselor at the Mayuteca Day Treatment Center. Like Skyman said, we did open on June 4th. Prior to that, we had been operating an intensive outpatient program, and then I don't know if everybody knows the history, but I'll just kind of give a little bit of the history. Back a year ago, when tribal council started looking at revising the code for controlled substances, we had really advocated for more treatment in our community, and so we started working on what we thought would be a viable option for treatment services in our community. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the levels of care and what that means and how people are recommended levels of care. So there is certain criteria that we follow when we do assessments with people. If they're having substance use and they are starting to have issues, maybe legal issues, maybe family is starting to recognize and notice that the substance use is just getting to be a lot. It's starting to affect school, it's starting to affect work. Maybe there's some child protection intervention, anything like that, where it seems like people's lives are starting to become unmanageable. What happens is the first piece the first part that has to happen before somebody can go to treatment. And this is in any treatment center. It's just like when you go to the doctor. They can't treat you for something unless you have a diagnosis. And that's the same thing that happens with substance use disorders. And so what happens is that somebody will call, we'll get a referral from maybe a probation officer or the tribal courts or child protection program. We get referrals from a lot of different people. We get them from the clinic, from the medical field, from family members. And what we'll do is when we get that referral, we'll go ahead and if the person is calling for assessment themselves, we will kind of get an idea of what's going on, and that's like a screening. We screen to just see if somebody really does need an assessment. And sometimes it might seem like those pieces you might not catch them if you're not aware of the process. And so we screen, we ask, so if when you call, if we're asking questions, that's because we're trying to decipher whether you need an assessment or not. And in that screening process, we decide that if we need more information and if somebody really should have an assessment, then we'll set up an assessment time. We do some intake paperwork, we ask some questions in the intake, and that serves as further screening. And then we'll sit down with a counselor and do an assessment. And in that we talk, we have a conversation about there's several areas that we kind of look at in a person's life. But some of those areas we look to see if somebody is in danger for withdrawal. Withdrawal can be really dangerous, especially with certain substances. It can be dangerous and life-threatening. So we really need to see if somebody needs detoxification services. And detox services are generally people are referred to Aberdeen or Watertown. And those services, basically what happens in detox is that the staff at the detox center monitors. And they have medical staff that come in and monitor heart rate, they do labs, they do blood pressure and that type of thing. And so they're monitoring what the physical symptoms are after that substance has been removed from your body. Different substances affect the body in different ways. Alcohol is one substance that when a person stops using alcohol, the body really is affected by that. And so they monitor because people can have seizures, they can have strokes, they can have delirium tremens, which is DTs, which is it's a scary condition where there's shaking and that type of thing. And then there's also some neurological things that can happen to people when they're detoxing from alcohol. Opioids is kind of the same thing. It's very painful. It's very there's a lot of it, like insomnia, nausea, a lot of sweating, memory lapse, and along with the insomnia then comes where people will just like fall asleep, they'll just nod off, and those are all symptoms of withdrawal. And some of those can be managed at home, but when somebody's really having a lot of withdrawal symptoms or we really like to have people get checked out to see if they need detox, because we really would hate for somebody to have seizures or have some real serious health complications that could be avoided if somebody just goes to detox. Then after we determine in the assessment that somebody is ready to proceed, that they don't need detox services, that their withdrawals have already happened or that they're managed, then we just talk about emotional, if somebody has had a diagnosis of like depression or anxiety, or if they feel that they might have those mental health conditions, maybe bipolar or any type of mental health condition, we ask about that. We ask about support at home. If we, if our home is safe, we ask about suicidality. If people are having suicide ideation, we ask about for previous attempts at treatment. Have you been to treatment? Have you gone to AA? What have you done to try to help yourself, or to get help previously with your substance use, to stop your substance use. Then we also talk about the substances. We ask, what you're using, how often you're using it, how long you've been using it, has there been a progression, and we just have a conversation. And when that conversation is done, then we, as the counselor or the person who's doing the assessment, will go back and they'll score it, and then we'll take into account some of the things that we talked about, and that helps determine what level of services people get. So there's lots of different levels. The ASAM criteria, ASAM is a national criteria that has been set for all the treatment centers all over the country. The lowest level is a prevention, and basically probably almost all of us have had some type of prevention services. When we were in school, any type of if a counselor has come into your school or your classroom, or you visited with somebody, maybe at an event or anything like that, that's a prevention, and that's a level of service for that meets ASAM criteria. Then we go up to like your outpatient, and then there's intensive outpatient, and those all have certain levels of, or a certain number of hours that we have to meet, that a person has to have services in order to be at that level of service. Intensive outpatient, which is what we have here. Dakota Pride, I think, is having a cycle, one more cycle of outpatient, and then we have our ongoing. Our intensive outpatient is open-ended, so that somebody can come in the middle of, we don't have cycles. Everything we do is open-ended. And then after intensive outpatient is the day treatment, and we meet the number of hours and the expectations that are required to be considered that level of care. That level of care is, there aren't that many day treatment centers in the state. There's one in Aberdeen through Avera. I think there's one in Sioux Falls. And there might be, I'm not sure if there's one in Rapid City, but there's not very many in the state or in our area. And then the next level after day treatment is inpatient treatment. And then there's medically monitored inpatient treatment, which is what Dakota Pride is. Dakota Pride is a medically monitored inpatient treatment center. And then there's the hospitalization level. And that's the highest level of care you can have. And that's where people are hospitalized and treated in a hospital setting. So having 3 levels of care in our community is pretty rare. Like I said, there's very few places in the state where that have 3 levels of care. Our community has those 3 levels of care, and thanks to our tribal council and our tribal executives. They wanted to be able to help as many people as they could with what they had available to them. And so that's why we are able to have these 3 levels of care. We're very thankful to the chairman, the secretary, former Secretary Crystal Heminger, Vice Chairman Floyd Kirk, and all of the council. We're really thankful to them because they saw that our people needed help, and they did what they had to do, and they established the day treatment and hired us, and we were able to move forward. And we were established in November 8th, November 6th. And we got a program, we got everybody hired, we got a program up and running within that time from November to June. A building renovated, and we're up and running. And so that's pretty amazing. That really goes to everybody. Our staff, and I don't know if I know we've talked about who our staff is, but Skyman's the manager. He's the program manager of the day treatment. Shobi Zatina is the lead treatment counselor. I'm Dion Lake. I'm one of the outpatient treatment counselors, and I kind of help organize the treatment in the groups. Alana Littlebird is our lead CD tech, and Betty Amos is our other CD tech, and then we have Megan Zatina, that's our cook, and Greta Simon Laverne is our office supervisor, and she has helped us to organize everything. She's amazing. She has helped us organize our policies, our procedures, our intake procedure, our screening. She has developed the tools that we need to ensure that we're making sure we get everything done that we need to get done for a client as far as the intake and the assessment. She schedules our assessments. She has really helped us to be organized. So we really appreciate everybody that is on staff. Let me see what else. So what happens after and I'm going to tell some of the features of the day treatment that are new, that are different than what we've done, than what we've been doing. So if somebody calls, if somebody calls the day treatment center and wants help, it is our policy that within 24 hours we will offer that person a time for an intake and an assessment. So if somebody calls today, say we get back to the office and we get a call for somebody that wants help, by tomorrow at 10:30 we will have the intake, the screening, the intake paperwork ready for them, and we will have an appointment set up for that person by tomorrow morning. We like to have somebody come in the day before, so if somebody called at 10:30, we might ask them to come in this afternoon. They would meet with Greta, set up the paperwork, fill out the forms, and then tomorrow morning we will have that appointment time ready for them. Once we have that assessment done and we have the diagnosis and the recommendations, the diagnosis basically it says whatever substance that they're using and the level of severity of use. So there's a mild, there's a moderate, and there's a severe. And every substance goes within that. So if somebody is really having trouble with using alcohol, they might have alcohol use disorder, mild, moderate, or severe. After we do the assessment, we do the diagnosis, and we make the recommendations. We have the person come back in, we meet with them again, and we go over what their options are, where they can go to treatment, where they can get help, and we tell them why we're recommending what we're recommending. We really like to have somebody come back in so we can sit down with them and explain, because we don't want to just give them this label, this diagnosis, give them this tell them, what their diagnosis is and send them out the door. We like to explain and tell people which criteria they meet, where they can get services. Right now, there's a lot of people that are coming into the day treatment and are being recommended day treatment because they meet those criteria. But we do have people that we refer to inpatient treatment, and those referrals will go to Richard Bird, and Richard is the one that gets people into inpatient treatment, either at Dakota Pride or off reservation, but I think mostly people go to Dakota Pride. And then if somebody is court ordered to follow recommendations, then we will also get a release of information and let the court know what the recommendation is. I know we've had a lot of questions about what if day treatment doesn't work for somebody. So we never drop a client off. We never just drop them. What we'll do is we'll, if they're coming into day treatment and they're not having, it's not a high enough level of care, or if they need more care, if they're having trouble staying sober, if they're struggling with being in treatment, if they're if it seems like they're relapsing and they can't stop, then we recommend a higher level of care. And for us in our community, that higher level of care is inpatient treatment. And so then that referral will go to Dakota Pride. And then we like to see people come back into the day treatment. A lot of the groups that we have, one of the other things that's unique about the day treatment is that we have lots of groups. We have a lot of groups, and those were all really designed from seeing the need that our clients had before that we weren't meeting. So we have a grief and separation group, and that meets every Monday. We have a group it's called DBT, Dialectical Behavioral Therapy, and that's with emotions. It's helping us recognize and regulate our emotions. We have a cognitive behavioral therapy, that's a thinking errors group. That group helps us to understand our thinking and how our thinking can trigger us to use. We have men's and women's empowerment groups that happen every Thursday. We are going to be having Dakota history and some art therapy. We have parenting. We offer parenting. So if there's somebody that needs parenting, Skyman and I are both certified to teach Fatherhood is Sacred and Motherhood is Sacred. So we have those. We have the parenting classes once a week. Let me see. And then we have the Matrix, which is one of our foundational groups. And then we also have the Red Road, which is another one of our foundational groups. The Red Road is held every day. The Matrix is held Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays. We also still have Crystal Meth Anonymous that is offered, that is at our office. That's Thursday evenings at 5. And we have an NA group that is at our office at 6 o'clock on Saturday. So,
and just to jump in on that too is we do have currently right now we have two of our workers, Greta and Alana, that are off getting the anger management training. So we'll be having that group also.
oh yeah.
But I'd also like to, like Dion was talking about, was we see that where the needs are not being met, and that's where some of this our groups come in, and anger management was one of them. That's not being offered in the area locally. You have to go to, I think the closest place is Watertown. So we're going to have that group coming up, and if any of the community members, any of the other programs, managers, anybody that has an idea or something that we need to do that we can offer our people, feel free to give us a call, and we'll go ahead and hopefully send some of our people to training and get what we need so we can better serve our community.
Yeah, we're really committed to assessing what the community needs are and our clients' needs are and meeting those needs. I think that's it.
And again, keep an eye out for the open house. We will be having an open house in the near future. So.
And we'll be feeding.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's it. Tom. See you.
Tune in next week.
Oh yeah, tune in next week, Thursday at 10 o'clock, and I'm not sure who's going to be here next week. Sierra and...
We'll just say Sierra. She's pretty good at it.
Yeah. Sierra and Shobi.